Good morning. My name is Hillary Highslope. I'm the Executive Director of the Clewiston Chamber of Commerce. And this morning we have our Hendry County Property Appraisers candidates with us. So welcome to Ms. Dena Pittman and Mr. Shone Phillips. I appreciate you both joining us. The Chamber has done candidate forums for several years now. And I always like to start out by letting everybody know we are not in any way, shape, or form endorsing either political candidate, obviously. The goal of our forum is simply to make sure that our voters are just as knowledgeable as they can be before they go out and cast their votes. So with that, a little bit of housekeeping on the Facebook side. We are having some technical difficulties. The plan was to stream this live on Facebook. However, it's not allowing us to do that right this second. So I am recording our video here and we will post it as soon as we're finished. Oops, we lost Miss Pittman. So, oh, there she is. Okay. Dena, we lost you for 1 second, but I do believe that you are muted. So you can unmute yourself when you're ready. A little bit of housekeeping on the Facebook side is please, we ask that everybody keep their comments nice and professional and, certainly don't use any foul language. We won't leave any kind of comments like that up on our page. They will be deleted. Dena, can you go ahead and unmute? You have to do it on your end, but so we'll get started and we will do some brief introductions. Everybody has got their paper and they know, what your time limits are and things like that. So Mr. Phillips, if you want to go ahead and do your introduction, that would be great.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Shone Phillips. I was born and raised here in LaBelle in Henry County all my life. I've been married for 34 years to Jessica and I. We have 2 kids and 2 grandkids. I've been in the air conditioning business for 32 years. I've been self-employed for 18 of those in a family business of air conditioning, obviously. I'm going to be retiring from that business here in December. My oldest son, Jared, and his wife, Lindsay, which are obviously lifelong residents as well, will be taking over that business while I pursue this avenue of if I'm elected as your next property appraiser. I'm local and my both sides of my wife's family and mine have always been here in LaBelle. And I just want to do something better for Henry County. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. Ms. Pittman, your introduction?
Thank you for tuning in. I am Dena Pittman, the property appraiser. I was appointed and then elected in 2018, and it has been my honor and privilege to serve the great residents of Hendry County. I have been married to my husband, Mike, for 28 years, and together we have 4 beautiful daughters and 4 amazing grandchildren. My husband is the president of Cross Training Ministries, which is a program for young men that struggle with drug and alcohol addiction. Its core value is to train young men to be disciples of Christ, and I am blessed to be able to serve alongside Mike in this incredible ministry. Together, we believe our primary purpose is to serve people and to exemplify the love of God in all areas. I began my career in the property appraiser's office 35 years ago, where a job opportunity turned into an amazing journey and a lifetime career. Gaining experience from the entry level to the top position, I found a path that I was passionate about, and I embraced it with everything in me. Education and experience will take you to places you never dreamed possible, but passion has kept me here. During my time as an elected official, I have been challenged in ways to sway from what is required in upholding the Florida law. When I was sworn in as property appraiser in 2018, I took an oath, and I took that oath very seriously. And it's to uphold the Constitution and the legislation, and to treat the residents of Hendry County fairly and equitably. This position is very specific to the valuation of property and the administration of exemptions and assessment reductions. I urge you to do the research on what the property appraiser specifically does and do not be misguided or misled. As the property appraiser, I am charged with the responsibility of valuing property in accordance with legislation and not in accordance with my opinions. While I'm very much aware of the inflated market, I still must follow and appraise property accordingly. I must follow these laws and create a role that is fair and equitable. Taxes are not part of my duties as we go through this process. Today, I will provide you with a clear picture of what the appraiser's duties are and how they play a role in your taxes. The questions that we have been asked will allow me to further address with accurate information and will better help you be more prepared to cast your vote for the best qualified candidate for the appraiser's office. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both. So now we're going to get into the Q&As. We'll alternate. So the first question will go to Ms. Pittman first, and then Mr. Phillips second, and then it'll go Mr. Phillips first, Ms. Pittman second. We'll go back and forth like that.
Okay.
So Ms. Pittman, for right now, what are your qualifications? What are your qualifications and experience that make you the best candidate for the Hendry County Property Appraiser position?
Well, as I stated in my introduction, I began my career 35 years ago. I started in 1989 as a data entry clerk, and I really wanted to learn more about the fundamentals of appraising, and within 2 years, I achieved the necessary courses to become a certified Florida evaluator. Shortly thereafter, I began working in the land department and started valuing properties. This opportunity turned into ultimately valuing both vacant and improved properties and doing everything from working what is considered last physical inspections to mass appraisal. I've also been involved in the exemption process, the capping process, and I understand exactly how each of these areas work together to generate the values that reflect your property. There's nothing more valuable to proving that I am the best candidate than having held this position as the elected official for the past 6 years. Prior to my election, I had the privilege to work closely with the former property appraiser, Phil Pelletier, as his chief deputy for 7 years. This allowed me the opportunity to work with the intricate levels of administration and to see firsthand all the aspects that go into providing a role that truly represents the properties of Hendry County.
Okay, as a quick follow-up to that, can you provide a specific example of your past work that demonstrates your capability in property appraisal?
Sure, I believe that this was partially answered already.
Okay.
But to be more specific, I have valued everything from large tracts of land to platted subdivisions, from vacant to improved properties, from residential to commercial, agricultural, tangible personal properties, all aspects of the property of the tax roll. I have seen the market when it has been thriving, and I have seen the market when it has crashed. I am well versed in the impacts of both types of markets, and I guess you can say that in 35 years, I've probably seen a thing or two. I also have experience in the qualification of sales, and under my leadership, we have scored 100 on the sales qualification study, which is the first step of the appraisal process. I have been very much involved in the tax roll approval process. I've worked diligently to ensure that the values of all types of properties are fair and equitable and meet the requirements set by the Department of Revenue.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Phillips, the same questions to you. What are your qualifications and experience that make you the best candidate for the Hendry County Property Appraiser's position?
Well, it's no secret. I don't have prior experience in this. As I just said, I've been 32 years in the air conditioning business. But what this position I see it as is a leadership position. There's many people in that agency already who is certified, qualified, and already have that certification. My job is to lead them, and I have a lot of experience in leading. I work for the Department of Transportation for 5 years, covering all of Glades and Henry County. And my job was anywhere from 25 to 150 guys at a time, men and women, during the hurricanes. Leadership role is important. I believe that we capitalize on the people that's in that office who already have this knowledge and experience. And my job is to make sure we're utilizing those people to do the best thing for the constituents of Henry County, and working with the DOR and the Department of Agriculture to make sure that we're getting all we can get for the constituents of Henry County. And my job is to help them as a leader, make sure they're doing and able to have the resources they need to do what they do, and don't tie them down or put bricks on their head per se, and let them do what they do and do it very well. I have a lot of confidence in some of the employees that are in that office, and I really want to help them do what they do.
Okay. And for the follow-up, can you provide a specific example of your past work that would demonstrate your capability in property appraisal?
Property appraisal? Yeah, kind of follow up to that same question. But if you've ever bought or sold any amount of real estate, it is interesting that when you purchase a piece of property and you ask for an outside appraiser, what's the first thing they ask you for? They ask you for your contract. Why do they want that contract? Because they're going to back into the bank's approval numbers to get those numbers to where they match. So there's a lot of fluff that goes on there, and there's a lot of discretion that can be used from even from private property appraisers. And that demonstrated to me that there's a lot of room for choice and change. And as I dig into this for the last 4 months, I find out that there is a lot of discretion, and it's in the eyes of what someone sees based on their opinion. And I've seen on a $350,000 house, I've seen a difference of an appraisal of $100,000 because it was someone's opinion, and that's what I want to address.
Okay, thank you. So now our next question will start with Mr. Phillips. How do you plan to ensure fair and accurate property valuations for the residents of Hendry County?
What I want to do, and some of this is being done, I understand, a little bit from the current administration, but I want to truly expand on this. I want to hold quarterly meetings. I want to hold 2 in Clewiston a year and 2 in LaBelle a year. And I want to bring in everything from real estate agents to mortgage brokers to builders to private appraisers. And I want to have these quarterly meetings. I want to get my finger on the pulse of the buys and sells of what's truly happening and why they're happening, and all the reasons that make them things change. And those are the people on the front line of the business who are doing that. And I think it's very important quarterly that we meet with those people, sponsored by the property appraiser's office, to get their input to know where we're heading and what we're doing.
Okay, so I think you kind of touched on the follow-up. I don't know if you want to expand on that at all. What methods or technologies do you intend to use to maintain these standards?
Those standards, I think that that's important to do quarterly for the year prior to the appraisals that are going to take place. I spoke with several realtors. They wish this would happen more, and I know Dena has done some of that. I think there needs to be more of that. I think builders need to be pulled into that. I think mortgage loan officers need to be pulled into that for interest rate purposes. I think that outside appraisers that do private appraisals, there's things that change in their world all the time that may not change on the state level, but changes in their world. And I'd like to have those people collaborated for Hendry County's benefit to see where we're going, because they know the true pulse of Hendry County.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pittman, the same question to you. How do you plan to ensure fair and accurate property valuations for all residents in Hendry County?
This is done by following the Florida statutes. We're required to submit a tax roll. We're not private appraisers. We are appraisals that do mass appraisal for the purpose of tax purposes.
Sorry.
So while we don't get to do a private appraisal on individual houses, we do look at the entire market. And we have to follow the Florida statutes, so 193.011 and 195.027. Both of these statutes specifically list the 8 criteria that we must follow and the required inputs for calculating measures of appraisal uniformity. There's 3 common measures of appraisal levels for sale ratio studies, and which are the mean, median, and the weighted mean. Common indicators of appraisal uniformity within the groups are array, range, coefficients. I mean, all these things are key takeaways that we must follow in ensuring fair and equitable taxes. While we have to follow what the market is, and we know that certain areas may be valued differently or may be selling differently than other areas, we have to have a level of understanding of the statistical analysis as well as a level of understanding of the market trends. The best way to gain this knowledge is to work in it daily and to put the practice of art appraising to use. Many factors may play a role in the market areas and stratums, and these variables impact values. If you're not familiar with the process, you most definitely cannot provide the fair and accurate values. It's important to understand that we are required to physically inspect all properties once every 5 years and to inspect or review sold properties within 90 days of the transaction. That way we know that what we're valuing is what was actually sold. We also have to value properties, we have to gain access to properties that have had physical changes to the property. If we can't gain access, then we can't assess what is physically there, and garbage in, garbage out.
Okay, that is your 2 minutes. But quickly, the follow-up to that was, what methods or technologies do you intend to use to maintain these standards? Do you need to expand on that at all?
Yeah, we use our CAMA system, which is a computerized, I'm sorry, computerized assisted mass appraisal program. It enables our office to efficiently and effectively value similar properties in the same manner, to be able to make the same rate changes to ensure uniformity, and to be able to store the data in a way that we can query various fields to test the data for accuracy.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2, we'll go to Ms. Pittman first. What steps will you take to maintain or improve transparency and communication between the property appraiser's office and the residents of Hendry County?
Our office has always had an open door policy. If you ever have a question, you can call our office. And if you want to come in and see me or any of my staff for any reason, we are open from 8 to 5 and we are always available. That's one of the qualities that we get from a lot of people coming from other counties. Wow, you're the property appraiser and I'm talking to you. They come into the office, they actually see people. They call the office, they get a live person. Those are some qualities that I value, and I think that's customer service is priority. If you have ever visited our website, you're familiar with the vast information that is available from sales, mapping, ownership, and values. It also provides links to the tax collector and the clerk's offices. It provides information for upcoming events and important dates and deadlines. You can also review exemption information and what exemptions are available and how to file. Almost all aspects of the property appraiser's office is mentioned or alluded to on our website. And since I have been in office, I've also implemented a Facebook page that we utilize to post upcoming forums, news, deadlines, and general information. We've always been transparent, and we do everything we can through social media and sending pertinent letters to specific property owners when action or change is required.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
I don't know how much time I had left.
That's okay, 30 seconds. Thank you, Ms. Pittman. Mr. Phillips, the same question to you. What steps will you take to maintain or improve transparency and communication between the property appraiser's office and the residents of Hendry County?
Well, I currently have a Facebook page for this campaign purposes that we plan on greatly expanding. Once I become the property appraiser, if I'm elected, I have every intent to do a lot more videos for clarity of what's happening, what we have found, what changes are, what's going on. A lot more training videos and public information videos through Facebook and our web site that we're going to have up and running. And I guess to move into the second part of that, I'm not a big office guy. I like to go out in the field a lot. Absolutely, people are welcome to come in the office. Open door policy, absolutely. But I want to go out and see the problems. I want to go out and see what people are concerned about. When we're taking pictures from overhead and we're getting confused with 80 square foot pieces of plywood laying on the ground and considering it a deck, and I know that's very small pennies compared to what's happening, but it's the point that's happening. I want to put people on the ground, and I personally want to go out and see these problems as well. I can't go out and see all of them, but me and the staff can. And I want to go out and see these places and see that, oh, that's a piece of plywood. And yes, we should use technology, but we should back that up with boots on the ground to see what's happening. And so I am very much out and about and love to go see the problems and discuss it with people. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, thank you. So this next one, we will start with you, Mr. Phillips. How do you plan to handle disputes or appeals regarding property assessments?
Just like that, kind of hit that a while ago. Yeah,
Well, you can't answer all the questions at one time. Okay?
I apologize. Going out, I want to see what the customer is concerned with. What is the constituent's issue? Let's deal with it. If we made a mistake, we're going to fix it. And then when we fix that one problem, we got to look see if that problem consistent in other areas. So what am I going to do about it? We're going to address those problems. And listen, if I can't satisfy your problem or deal with your problem, and I can't get the answer between the DOR or the Department of Ag, then I'm going to highly suggest you go to the Value Adjustment Board, which will give the peers of your constituents around to give that opinion. I encourage the Value Adjustment Board. I hope you don't ever have to go to that point, but if you do, you have that option, and I want to make sure you're aware of that option.
Okay, and as a follow-up, can you provide an example of how you resolved such a dispute in the past? Maybe
Ooh. Well,
something.
when I worked for the state of Florida for 5 years, listen, everybody's got a problem with the state of Florida, and I understand. And being all state highways and roadways, you deal with land locations of driveways, right of ways, easements, all of these issues. And the best way to resolve those is head on field visits. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But I will always err on the side of the general public. Absolutely. I'm here for the general public. That's what's got my passion in dealing with this now. So I will always err on the side of the general public any way I can and fight for them for what they need.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Pittman, the same question to you. How do you plan to handle disputes or appeals regarding property assessments? And the
Well,
follow-up
first,
would be to provide an example of how you might have resolved such a dispute in the past.
okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that our office does do boots on the ground. That is our primary assessment method. We only use aerial photography when access has been denied. So I wanted to clarify that statement because that seems to be one of Mr. Phillips' common things that we use drones and aerial photography specifically, and that is only in a need be basis when access to the properties have been denied. Because boots on the ground, physical inspections are your best ways to value property. But as far as handling the disputes, the first and foremost, I would look at all aspects of the property to ensure that our data is exactly what is physically located on that property. I find out when they purchased the property to see if it was a reset and to see if they're comparing to the previous owner's values and taxes. The majority of the time when people call our office and say my taxes are too high, we look at their value because that's what we do. We value property. Many times they say, no, my value is fine. It's the taxes. So we're going to look to see if they had a reset event, which is typically usually a sale. Then once we find out if that's all accurate and fine, then we're going to ask specific questions to the condition of the property. And is there anything that we may be missing, as we do not do interior inspections? All of our inspections are done on the outside as required by law. If there are certain things that they need us to look at due to the interior of the property, then by all means, our staff will come back out to the property, and they have already done the first inspection. They'll come back out to do the interior inspections. And if any reduction of value is required or warranted based on the condition, then we'll address it at that time. But that's basically how we handle that aspect of it. As far as the follow-up question, then, can you provide an example of how? Sure. A property owner called us to inform that they had a pool that they filled in. We still showed that there was a pool on our data. So we looked at the aerials to see that the pool was indeed filled in by Jan 1 because that's our assessment date. And once we saw that the pool was closed in, then we removed it from the property. If a permit is not pulled, we have no reason to go back out to that property except once every 5 years. So 5 years ago, we were on the property, and then 2 years ago, they made a change to the property. If there's no permit, we might not know about that. So that's why we do rely on the property owners to notify us or to pull the proper documents when they're making changes to their property. Another example was a gentleman called to let us know that he wanted to pull a permit and build a house on his vacant lot. Turned out that he wasn't allowed to do that because he had wetlands on the property, and it's jurisdicted wetlands, therefore he had to do mitigation fees. So we adjusted the value in accordance to that as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next question, Ms. Pittman, what initiatives will you implement to keep property assessments up to date with market values?
This question was kind of interesting because it's the fundamental duty of our office is to keep assessments current with what the sales are. We will continue to analyze the sales annually to properly identify the arm's length transactions. And then once the sales data is finalized, these sales are what are utilized to set the market values of the properties. Our office is responsible for performing statistical analysis of all properties on an annual basis. I will continue to train my staff and my appraisers to ensure that the data collected is accurate and that the values are in accordance with legislation and common practices. Our CAMA system has edits in place to mimic the department's edits to ensure that our values are reflective of the appropriate sales ratios.
All right, thank you. Mr. Phillips, what about you? What initiatives will you implement to keep property assessments up to date with market values?
Well, the arm's length transaction thing, I think that's where our meetings quarterly with the people who are selling, the realtors who are selling, and the mortgage brokers who are selling the properties. I believe, when you say you throw out the high sales and you throw out the lows and keep the arm length transactions to make sure that they are correct and proper, I think it's important that we have those meetings because that gives a voice to the realtors and to the mortgage brokers and private appraisers of what things we may not know that went on. So instead of us guessing at what might be an arm's length transaction because we assume this was low or that was high, we might get some more insight to that during those quarterly meetings. So I'm very interested in those quarterly meetings.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Phillips, we'll stay with you. How will you ensure that the property appraiser's office operates efficiently and effectively? And as a follow-up, what specific changes or improvements might you implement?
Well, I'm not in there now, obviously, but I hear as my travels go along with this campaign, I'm hearing a lot of comments that's happening about the office of disrespectful to the community, and I hope that's not true. I hope that's not what's happening, but I keep hearing it a lot, and I'm disheartened by that because these are the people who we work for, and I have worked for state government, and I just want we should be mindful that the government, which is small county government, is what this is, but we are here to simply work for the people. We are not above them. We are not better than them. We are a servant to them. And maybe the leadership believes that, or maybe they don't. I don't know. But I can tell you that the disrespect and the personal, we're in a small town. A lot of people in LaBelle know one another. And in Clewiston, we all know each other. But our personal issues should not be part of our daily work life. And I will ensure that your personal opinion, and if you're working for the public, should stay your personal opinion. It should not involve that conversation in an office of business. And I'm very disheartened that happens. And I hope that changes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pittman, same question to you. How will you ensure that the property appraiser's office operates efficiently and effectively? As a follow-up, would there be any specific changes or improvements that you would implement?
Okay, to answer your question, the most important asset that we have is that the staff are adequately trained and educated on how to answer the many questions that come across the counter or over the phone. The more they know, the better they can properly assist you. They are also trained to know that they may not always be able to answer the questions, but they know who to get the call to. There are classes and seminars available through the International Association of Assessing Officers and through the Department of Revenue. I send my staff to these classes to provide them the best possible training available. I also have a great staff and one of the best chief deputies in the state. I'm kind of taken aback by his comment that there's issues with our office. I mean, yes, we all are human, but I hold fast to the fact that we're going to treat the residents of Hendry County with respect and with dignity. And I do hone in on that on a regular basis. Customer service, as I said before, is my priority. And you can ask anybody in my office, they are a reflection of me and they know that. And I insist that they treat the public with respect and dignity at all times. I have staff in place that are experts in their specific field and they take pride in their work. I have often said to them, anything worth doing is worth doing well. And one thing I do know is that my staff is 100% behind me and for me. As a follow-up question, I think you had a follow-up on that. It was what changes?
Yes, ma'am. Essentially, like what specific changes or improvements would you like to maybe implement?
Okay, and this is in the operations of the office, right? So you're talking about mostly the budgetary needs
and effectiveness.
Yeah. So I work hard to find ways to maintain minimal changes within our budget and yet to remain current on the upgraded technology and advances that will improve our production. We do time studies after each roll approval to see that everything was worked timely and efficiently. And we have weekly staff meetings to discuss the progress of the role and if there are any obstacles we need to address. I will work with my staff to ensure that they have what they need to perform their day-to-day tasks and enhance their workflow. Even with the increase in new construction and deeds, we have been able to complete all of our duties with no additional personnel or overtime, and we will strive to continue to do so.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Pittman, we'll stick with you for this next one. That's correct. What are your plans to educate the public about the property appraisal process and their rights as property owners?
Well, I find this one to be a little difficult because I have held several public forums in various locations to provide the proper education on what the property appraiser's office really does and how it impacts you. And the attendance has been very low. We hold them after hours to allow the working people the opportunity to attend. And one thing I've noticed is that there's always a lot of talk on Facebook and many complaining about taxes and often pushing the blame on me. But yet when it comes time to actually learn the process, they really don't want to. Another way that we've tried to educate the public is by going to several real estate offices and title companies to educate them on the importance of understanding how the sale of properties impact values and ultimately how it impacts the next tax bill, in hopes that they will pass this along to the buyers and sellers. We also address how specific language on deeds may impact values. And I will continue having these forums and hope more people come out to learn the process. And the best way is through our website. There is a lot of information on our website, and this is a great tool to educate people.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Phillips, the same question. What are your plans to educate the public, which you already told us about your forums, about the property appraisal process and their rights as property owners?
Well, and I apologize for those that's already heard this. Here's a small thing I have. It's not in people's everyday business to be concerned about the property appraisers until it's time to pay that tax bill. It's not something they look for every day. So they don't address these meetings. And the meetings after hours are great. People don't show up to that because they have things that they do in their life. And what I mean by that is, I think it's our responsibility as the property appraisers. For example, seniors discount. I ask, and I know you've heard this, some of the people out there. I have a 92-year-old third grade teacher here in LaBelle. She's never had a senior discount. I asked her why. She said she don't know. So she called to ask why. She said because the property appraiser told her she never asked for it. At 92 years old, I think we can do better than that. I think that we can send a letter. We can, in the property appraiser's office, we can drill down and find out everybody's birthday that's over the age of 65 as a senior, mail them a letter, get in touch with them, make sure they get their senior discounts that they're entitled to that's coming to them. It's our job to work for them and make sure that they're aware of it. They're not going to come find us. They didn't even know it. She's missed it for 27 years. I hate to hear that. Can't go back and get that credit. But I just think that we should be more forthcoming to educate them and go to them and bring it to their attention. Hey, you've reached a milestone. Some people don't get to reach that milestone. And this is what you are getting from the property appraiser's office. We're helping you do this. So I think we need to be more informative to the public of their deductions and where they're at.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Phillips, how do you intend to address and adapt to changes in the real estate market that may affect property values in Hendry County?
I think that's kind of some of the questions earlier. I'm going back to the finger on the pulse of what's happening with the market, the fair and accurate assessments. When we're between the times of these meetings, we need to be, and maybe we are, but I'm just getting the phone calls that we're not, of different things like of these photographs of chicken tractors, pump house sheds, things that are not actual sheds and things, and they're small amounts. And the public doesn't know to call about that and tell you about that. But if we're doing review of this property, and there's a lot of properties, we need to make sure these assessments are more accurate and of really what's on the property, and not just take the drone pictures. That I'd like to, Dena, you said in one of your posts that you don't use drones, but you purchased a drone for this purpose. So I don't know if you do or do not use a drone. You said you don't, but you purchased one, but you do. Now you say you do. So I'm not sure what we're doing there, but all those tools should be used in some degree. But the accuracy is huge on this property, and we can't rely on the people to do our job. Our job is to go out and see. That's what I'm going to do.
All right, Ms. Pittman, how do you intend to address and adapt to changes in the real estate market that may affect property values in Hendry County?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to address that the chicken coop situation that he's referring to is a property owner that we don't even assess a chicken coop, and we don't have a building that's assessed on his property. And there's been no changes to that property, and access has been 100% denied. So therefore, we still have not been able to determine exactly what that man is talking about. And he refuses to let us on the property. As far as the drone purchase, one, it was not a purchase. It was obtained through the CARES Act. And it was during COVID when there was a potential of lockdown and our field staff would not be able to do the required work because we are required to physically inspect properties. So therefore, this drone was obtained through a CARES Act. It did not cost the county a dime. The line item that they highlighted on the budget was the repair and maintenance of our computers, has nothing to do with the drone. So we ended up having public access. The governor did not stop essential workers from doing their day-to-day duties. So therefore, we did not ever use the drone to value properties, even though it would have been absolutely permitted to do so. Now, I'm sorry, to answer your question of what how to adapt to the real estate market, the best way is to educate the people. And we've covered this in the last question. The rise in real estate market heavily impacts first-time home buyers. The buyers and sellers set the market. And as first-time home buyers, you do not have any assessment reductions and therefore are heavily impacted by high market values and ultimately higher taxes. We're doing everything we can to try to explain the market and the capping situation. If you're protected by the 3% cap, then your values are not impacted, your taxes are not impacted as much. Let's just say you have a value of $400,000, but your assessed is only $250,000. I have to lower your value over $150,000 just for you to save a penny.
Okay.
So I'm thankful.
That is your 2 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I needed to address
hate when I have to interrupt
I
and be
needed
like,
to address the
okay, stop
drones.
talking.
No, that's fine. I needed to address his
That's
false
fine.
narrative.
You're good. You can use your 2 minutes however you choose to use it, for real. But
Okay,
I am trying
you.
to keep us online with what I told you all to expect. So the next question, I feel like we've talked a lot about, I've heard a lot about these drones that I didn't know existed. So that's kind of interesting for me, even. I'm learning something here today. But our next question does pertain to the role of technology and how big of a role or what role do you believe, we're starting with Ms. Pittman, that technology should play in the property appraisal process? Like, say that 6 times fast, right? Property appraisal process. Yeah.
Well, technology. Okay, so technology is ever changing. And I believe that we can utilize these advances where appropriate. While some advances may work for larger counties, I believe that nothing replaces boots on the ground and visits to the office. And this is the process that I still use and will continue to use. There is aerial technology that has proven to be very effective and beneficial in many aspects. With advanced technology, there are new programs and camera systems that improve the analysis process as well as make it more efficient. The technology that many appraisers' offices use, such as automated signatures and online homestead filing, we feel that that's not for the cost effective of the office, it's not worth it. It costs a lot to have those services provided, and therefore with a number of properties within Hendry County and the lack of application, it's not cost efficient to do that. So while technology is great, there's a balance that you have to apply with budget purposes versus the services. And I think the way that the process is right now is great, and we will continue to utilize the technology that is applicable to our office.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Phillips, the same question to you. What role do you believe technology should play in the property appraisal process?
Well, being that I'm not familiar with the insight that she has to how that system is run inside the property appraiser's office, which I will soon find out. I don't have an answer to that question. I really don't. Other than there's nothing wrong with a drone. They're used everywhere, but with respect to people's property and privacy, I think is highly important. There was a couple of meetings we were at that people were concerned about the trespassing of on private property, whether it's right, whether it's lawful, whether it's not. It's very disrespectful. And I know things got to be gathered. Information needs to be done. That needs to be through relationships, not with authority. That's the problem now. With the discretion that's being used, it doesn't need to be authority. It needs to be working with people, and people are tired, and there's no reason to be overly aggressive to people. I listen. I can be there in a heartbeat. I understand that. That's who I am as well. But respect goes a long way with people, and you need to work with them.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Phillips, the final question. How will you work with other county officials and departments to ensure cohesive and comprehensive property assessment and taxation processes?
Well, code enforcement has a lot to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of these people in this. I work with them in my life now as an air conditioning contractor. I work with a lot of building departments and code enforcement offices to handle air conditioning things, believe it or not. But so I have already a good working relationship with a lot of these county municipalities over that. Actually, I do work in 12 different counties and pull permits in 12 different counties. So I have a lot of interaction with the way different things are done. And 90% of the time, if you can deal with an inspector to inspect every piece of equipment that you put in and work through problems with them, you can work with anybody. So working with the general public and working with the other parts of the departments and agencies to get a common goal for the best interest of the constituent in Henry County, don't see that a problem. Matter of fact, I enjoy that, to problem solve that and figure out what we need to do for the best interest of that person within the rules and confinements of the county. But be mindful, these are people, again, who have elected you to do work for them. Huge respect for that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. And Ms. Pittman, final question. How will you work with other county officials and departments to ensure cohesive and comprehensive property assessment and taxation processes?
Well, one thing, I have a great working relationship with all the county offices and the city commissions. We have always worked well together in many areas of concern. We work hand in hand with the permitting department and the zoning department. And it is the relationships that matter. And that's why I ensure that I am always approachable and I do work with respect to people. The property appraiser's office is often considered the data office. Many taxing authorities reach out to me to provide the parcels located in their taxing districts, and oftentimes the dynamics of these parcels, like how many single-family residents, how many commercial buildings, how much vacant land. We collaborate with many commissioners and administration to provide the best information for whatever project they are working on. We have been working with the permitting department to get better processes in place that will assist our office, as well as ways that we can assist their office. We provide many maps for different offices. We provide area for photographs that multiple departments in the county utilize. And as a follow-up question, can I describe a time that we've successfully collaborated? Well, the permitting department and our office work together to provide a tracking system that allows our office to research permits and inspection history and to allow for a more fluent review of permits. We work together with the zoning department to enhance the lot split process to meet both our needs and their needs. Many times property owners would split a piece of property and then they find out that that portion is non-buildable. So we streamed a process that allows our needs to be met, the property owner's needs to be met, and the zoning department needs to be met. But that relationship is very important, and I agree 100%.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much. A couple of things before we do our like your closing statement, if you will. We are going to post this onto the chain. I've recorded the whole meeting. We'll post it onto the Chamber's Facebook page. Ideally, we would have been live there. We would have gotten a couple of questions. I know we would have gotten a couple questions because people have been calling the office asking where our live stream is. So this is really unfortunate, but we're going to post it there. I want to encourage you both. I know you both have a social media presence. Please go back to your, candidate post to this video on the Clewiston Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page. Let people know, like, hey, I'm here to answer questions for you. Because the whole thought process behind this is whether someone is going to watch this the minute we post it right now, or whether they're going to watch it 2 weeks from now before they go vote. If they have a question, I'm going to tell them to post it there, because my candidates, these two, you two, are going to be checking back and, popping back in and answering questions that people have. It gives both of you an opportunity to have like an ongoing dialogue with your voters, which I think is really important. Oftentimes we do get questions after the fact, things pop up on the page. We'll try to answer as best we can, or point them to a minute mark in this video where they can get the answer. But for the opportunity for both of you to have that ongoing dialogue, I think is really important. So I encourage you to go back and check the Facebook posts. Maybe just enter following, and then Facebook will automatically notify you every time someone comments, likes, shares, whatever. But I want to thank you both for joining us today. And Mr. Phillips, you will go first with 3 minutes to tell Hendry County voters why they should be voting for you.
Well, I have here's a great thing I've learned in my 50 years of life is when you don't know something, you have every opportunity to ask every question possible. So there's not a question I can't ask, and there's not a place I can't go to get an answer. So I'm excited to look forward to this, to be able to reach out to other property appraisers in the area, which has offered me an extended hand, being if I get this position. And I'm excited to take that chance and to learn those things and help the constituents of Hendry County. People are highly frustrated. I understand that. There's a lot of costs going on right now. And everything that I've talked to with the DOR, Department of Revenue, and the Department of Ag are not happy. Well, the Department of Ag doesn't seem to be happy with what we're doing. I want to reach out and help those people. There's some great information and some great people inside the property appraiser's office that need some help to do what they do. And I'm looking to support that. I want to help Hendry County. I've been here my entire life. My family, my grandkids, everybody is here. So I want to make sure that we leave them in a position better than we found it. And I want to make sure that they're able to continue to afford homes in Hendry County and not get priced out of the area. There's everything from impact fee meeting last night to these appraisals that have an option to choose discretion on I believe it's question the final answer of number 6 there that shows that they're the condition of the property and where we can choose the condition of this property. We have a discretion of what the discretion of the property is, whether it needs a new roof, or needs a new air conditioner, needs a new plumbing. So those things need to be taken into account. And I know these mass appraisals are the quickest and easiest ways to do something, but after years and years of mass appraisals, it looks like we would be able to drill down more and keep a tighter rein on what's happening individually, more so than we are. So I just ask for your vote this August. It's real simple. If you like what you got, keep doing it. I'm not here to aggravate you about that. But if you want to see a change, I can't do no worse. I promise you that. So vote for Shone Phillips and see what you get. I think you'll be impressed. That's all I have.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you,
Yeah, I
Mr.
was going to say.
My mouth is just moving. Ms. Pittman, your final 3 minutes. Let me reset my thing here real quickly. Your final 3 minutes to tell Hendry County voters why they should vote for you.
Okay. Well, I urge you to forget everything that you have seen and heard on Facebook from my opponent. Every aspect of his campaign has been built on misleading you, the constituents that I work very hard for, into believing that I, the property appraiser, am solely responsible for your high taxes. Let me define it in simple terms. I'm the property appraiser. I appraise property. My duties are to discover, list, and value all properties in Hendry County. I cannot pick and choose what part of legislation I will follow. The statute says that I value all property. My opposition has previously stated that he's not going to assess tangible personal property on businesses. He's also stated he's not going to require documents for the largest tax break known to the property owner, and he will only value properties that he can access. This is absolutely not acceptable or ethical. I can and do utilize discretion in many ways. I cannot compare river property to a 1 acre parcel in Felda. I cannot compare a house on the ridge to a mobile home in Hooker's Point. And I absolutely cannot value property lower than market because I think the sales are inflated or I just want to lower values. This will prove to be very disastrous. Mr. Phillips cannot use any more discretion than what I am fully utilizing to the extent of the law. I can address, and I do address, condition issues of property. I can and I do address location issues of property. That's where discretion can be utilized, and that's where we use it. The Florida market is one of the hottest markets in the United States, and the appraisers across the state are very much aware of the inflated prices. But legislation has not yet come through to help protect the first-time home buyers. These are the ones that are being impacted. With the cost of inflation, the rise in home insurance, and the increased interest rates, the housing market is rapidly getting unaffordable for many people. I believe this crisis is more serious than the one that we faced in 2005. It is important to understand that the rule is approved by the state, and this is the first step to the taxing process. It's the only step that the property appraiser is responsible for. The tax dollars that my opponent is wholeheartedly blaming me for is absolutely not my wheelhouse. Many people have been homesteaded for some time and built up a lot of deferred. And with my experience, this type of market, and with my knowledge of legislation and the relationships I've built, I am working tirelessly to find ways to protect you. While I cannot lower your taxes, I do get the opportunity to help all residents within the boundaries of the law. Residents are somewhat required to let us know of certain things with the condition. We do exterior inspections. We have 36,000 parcels in Hendry County. I cannot assess everybody on a personal, let me come in and have coffee with you kind of mentality. We must get the job done. And there's responsibility also to the homeowner if they have damage that we need to know about because we can't access the property and its interior information. What I can promise you is that I will continue to serve you and all of Hendry County with knowledge, experience, and most importantly, with integrity. It's the little things that matter. The way I carry myself, the core values I have, and always being honest, to always respect others and to be sensitive to their needs. I urge you to keep me, Dena Pittman, as your property appraiser. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for joining us today. Again, I want to encourage you to go back and follow this Facebook post that we're going to make. And I have very little doubt that there will be lots of questions in the comment section of that post. So thank you so much. And if the chamber can be of any more service, to either one of you in the future, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We appreciate you very much taking your time this morning and apologize for our technical difficulties. I don't there was this random live on the chamber's Facebook page yesterday where we ran this whole test and it worked beautifully. And
see, that's that boots on the ground thing, technology. See?
Yeah, right. I am a proponent of technology, but I only like it when it works the way that I think it should, not even correctly necessarily. But anyway, both of you have a great day.
Thank you, Hillary, for doing this. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
You too.